The stars looked different tonight. Eleanor Wright noticed it first from the observation deck of Earth Defense Station Alpha. She had spent countless nights watching the stars, learning their patterns, but tonight something was wrong. A cluster of lights moved in formation where no satellites or ships should be. Eleanor grabbed her comm unit. "Control, this is Captain Wright. I'm tracking unknown objects at Sector 7. Can you confirm?" The reply came after a long pause. "Captain, we see them. They're not broadcasting any identification. We've been tracking them for the last hour." Eleanor felt a chill run down her spine. 20 years in space defense, and this was the first time she had seen anything like this. "Are they ours? Secret test, maybe?" "Negative. We've checked with all agencies. No one claims them." The objects grew larger on the monitor. "Not random. Space debris or asteroids, these moved with purpose in perfect formation." Eleanor counted at least 30 distinct shapes now. "Alert level yellow," she ordered. "Get me a direct line to Admiral Porter." Within minutes, Admiral William Porter's face appeared on the main screen. His expression was grim. "Right. We're getting similar reports from stations around the globe. Whatever these things are, they're surrounding Earth in a coordinated pattern." "First contact, sir?" Eleanor asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. "Possibly. Or first invasion." Porter's voice was steady, but Eleanor had served with him long, enough to recognize the tension. "I'm calling an emergency meeting. All station commanders, top military brass, and the president. 1 hour." Before Eleanor could respond, all screens in the command center suddenly flickered. The image of Admiral Porter disappeared, replaced by someone, not human. The being had gray-blue skin with ridges where eyebrows would be on a human. Its eyes were large, entirely black, with no visible pupils. What appeared to be breathing tubes connected to a device around its neck. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English. "I am Supreme War Leader Zextar of the Krathan Dominion. Your planet now falls within our territory. We have claimed thousands of worlds before yours, and we will claim thousands after. Resistance is pointless and will only lead to unnecessary suffering." The command center fell silent. Eleanor gripped the edge of the console as the alien continued. "You have precisely 48 of your Earth hours to surrender control of your planet. Your leaders will present themselves to our landing parties. Your military forces will disarm. Your resources will become property of the Dominion." Zextar's face filled the screen, those black eyes seeming to stare directly at Eleanor. "To demonstrate our power and the futility of resistance, observe." The screen split to show a view of Mars. The small research outpost, Ares Station, home to 75 scientists and engineers, stood out against the red landscape. A beam of intense blue light shot down from above the camera view. When it cleared, nothing remained of Ares Station but a molten crater. Gasps and curses filled the command center. Eleanor felt sick. 75 people, gone in seconds. Remember this demonstration when you consider your options. 48 hours. The transmission ended abruptly. Within minutes, Eleanor's comm unit buzzed with incoming messages, as the same transmission played on every screen and device across Earth. Global panic spread instantly. 6 hours later, Eleanor sat in the most secure room beneath the Pentagon, surrounded by military leaders, scientists, and government officials from around the world. The President of the United States looked years older than she had that morning. "What are our options?" the President asked, looking around the table. Ryan Garcia, Chief Intelligence Officer, stood to present his findings. "The aliens, the Krathan, have positioned 27 capital ships around Earth. Based on their energy readings and what they did to Ares Station, each one carries enough firepower to level a continent. Their technology appears to be at least a century ahead of ours." "So you're saying we can't fight?" the Chinese general said flatly. "I'm saying we can't win in a conventional confrontation," Ryan clarified. "Their ships have some kind of shielding we can't penetrate with our current weapons." Admiral Porter slammed his fist on the table. "So we surrender, become slaves to these aliens?" "We buy time," Eleanor suggested, speaking up for the first time. All eyes turned to her. "We appear to cooperate while we learn about them. Find their weaknesses. Dr. Alan Hayes, a physicist who had been hastily brought in from MIT, nodded enthusiastically. Captain Wright is right. Every technology has limitations. Every species has vulnerabilities. We just need to discover theirs. And how many people die while we discover these vulnerabilities? Asked the European Union representative. How many die if we do nothing? Eleanor countered. You saw what they did to Ari Station. Do you think they'll be kind rulers? The room fell silent again. 48 hours is not much time, the president finally said. But it's all we have. I propose we send a delegation to meet with them, stall for time while we prepare our options. I volunteer, Eleanor said immediately. Several voices rose in protest, but she continued. I've studied first contact protocols my entire career. This may not be the peaceful scenario we hoped for, but the principles still apply. The president considered her for a long moment, then nodded. Assemble a small team. Scientists, linguists, military representation. Your mission is to buy us time and gather intelligence. Nothing more. As the meeting continued around her, Eleanor's mind raced. The aliens had shown what they could do. Obliterated a Mars outpost without hesitation. They expected surrender. They expected Earth to bow down like every other world they'd conquered. They clearly had no idea what humans were like when backed into a corner. In the observatory that evening, Eleanor watched the alien ships glowing in orbit. She thought about human history. How often the smaller force had defeated a seemingly unbeatable enemy through determination, creativity, and sheer stubbornness. They think they know what they're doing, she whispered to herself. They think. This is just another conquest. Her comm unit buzzed with a message from Porter. Team assembled. Briefing at 0600. Eleanor took one last look at the alien ships. You picked the wrong planet to mess with. The Krathin were about to learn a lesson that no other species had ever needed to teach them. Humans didn't surrender their home. And, when pushed to their limits, they became something terrifying even to beings from the stars. The countdown to humanity's greatest fight had begun. The stars looked different tonight. Eleanor Wright noticed it first from the observation deck of Earth Defense Station Alpha. She had spent countless nights watching the stars, learning their patterns. But tonight something was wrong. A cluster of lights moved in formation where no satellites or ships should be. Eleanor grabbed her comm unit. Control, this is Captain Wright. I'm tracking unknown objects at Sector 7. Can you confirm? The reply came after a long pause. Captain, we see them. They're not broadcasting any identification. We've been tracking them for the last hour. Eleanor felt a chill run down her spine. 20 years in space defense, and this was the first time she had seen anything like this. 24 hours after the Krathin ultimatum, Lieutenant Samantha Collins stood in a hidden underground bunker looking at the impossible mission details. 6 soldiers, 1 experimental shuttle, a crazy plan to capture an alien scout ship. This is suicide, said Private Joe Miller, the youngest of her team. His hands trembled slightly as he checked his gear. Sam smiled at him. Maybe, but if we pull this off, we give Earth a fighting chance. The team had been chosen for their unique skills. Sam was the best pilot in the Earth Defense Force. Sergeant Linda Boyd could hack into almost any system. Corporal Frank Wells was their weapons expert. Specialists Paul Rivera and Diane Foster had backgrounds in xenobiology and alien technology theory. And Joe, despite his youth, had the best instincts Sam had ever seen. The Krathin scout ships break from the main. Fleet every 6 hours, Sam explained, pointing to the tracking data. They follow the same patrol routes each time. We're going to intercept the one passing over the Pacific. Admiral Porter entered the room. His face was grim. The delegation meets with the Krathin in 12 hours. Captain Wright is leading it. Your mission needs to succeed before then. Sam nodded. We'll be ready, sir. Good. Because we're getting reports that the Krathin are already establishing ground bases in remote areas. One in the Sahara, another in Siberia. They're not waiting for our surrender, Sam realized. No, they're just going through the motions. Porter looked each team member in the eye. What you're about to do has never been attempted in human history, but I believe you can do it." After he left, Sam turned to her team. "Get some rest. We launch in 4 hours." While her team tried to sleep, Sam studied everything they had on Krathin technology. Not much, but enough to form a plan. The aliens relied heavily on automated systems. Their soldiers were impressive, but they followed strict protocols. Predictable. That might be their weakness. 4 hours later, their experimental shuttle lifted off from a hidden base in Alaska. The craft was Earth's newest stealth vehicle, designed to be invisible to conventional radar. They hoped it would work against alien sensors, too. "Approaching target area," Sam announced as they reached the patrol zone. "Remember, we need to disable their engines without destroying the ship." "I still don't know how we're supposed to board an alien vessel," Joe muttered. Sam grinned. "We asked nicely." The Krathin scout ship appeared on their sensors. It was sleek, about 3 times the size of their shuttle, with a blue energy field surrounding it. "That's their shield," Linda said. "According to the data from the Mars incident, it stops all conventional weapons." "Good thing we're not using conventional weapons," Sam replied, activating a special device Dr. Hayes had provided. This should create a localized energy surge in their shield. A momentary opening. The device hummed to life. On the scanner, they watched as a small fluctuation appeared in the alien shield. "Now!" Sam shouted, firing the shuttle's thrusters at max relay hours. "Secret test, maybe?" "Negative. We've checked with all agencies. No one claims them." The objects grew larger on the monitor. Not random space debris or asteroids, these moved with purpose in perfect formation. Eleanor counted at least 30 distinct shapes now. "Alert level yellow," she ordered. "Get me a direct line to Admiral Porter." Within minutes, Admiral William Porter's face appeared on the main screen. His expression was grim. "Right. We're getting similar reports from stations around the globe. Whatever these things are, they're surrounding Earth in a coordinated pattern." "First contact, sir?" Eleanor asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. "Possibly. Or first invasion." Porter's voice was steady, but Eleanor had served with him long, enough to recognize the tension. "I'm calling an emergency meeting. All station commanders, top military brass, and the president. 1 hour." Before Eleanor could respond, all screens in the command center suddenly flickered. The image of Admiral Porter disappeared, replaced by someone, not human. The being had gray-blue skin with ridges where eyebrows would be on a human. Its eyes were large, entirely black, with no visible pupils. What appeared to be breathing tubes connected to a device around its neck. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English. "I am Supreme War Leader Zextar of the Krathin Dominion. Your planet now falls within our territory. We have claimed thousands of worlds before yours, and we will claim thousands after. Resistance is pointless, and will only lead to unnecessary suffering." The command center fell silent. Eleanor gripped the edge of the console as the alien continued. "You have precisely 48 of your Earth hours to surrender control of your planet. Your leaders will present themselves to our landing parties. Your military forces will disarm. Your resources will become property of the Dominion." Zextar's face filled the screen, those black eyes seeming to stare directly at Eleanor. "To demonstrate our power and the futility of resistance, observe." The screen split to show a view of Mars. The small research outpost, Ares Station, home to 75 scientists and engineers, stood out against the red landscape. A beam of intense blue light shot down from above the camera view. When it cleared, nothing remained of Ares Station but a molten crater. Gasps and curses filled the command center. Eleanor felt sick. 75 people, gone in seconds. Remember this demonstration when you consider your options. 48 hours. The transmission ended abruptly. Within minutes, Eleanor's comm unit buzzed with incoming messages as the same transmission played on every screen and device across Earth. Global panic spread instantly. 6 hours later, Eleanor sat in the most secure room beneath the Pentagon, surrounded by military leaders, scientists, and government officials from around the world. The President of the United States looked years older than she had that morning. "What are our options?" the president asked, looking around the table. Ryan Garcia, chief intelligence officer, stood to present his findings. The aliens, the Krathen, have positioned 27 capital ships around Earth. Based on their energy readings and what they did to Ares Station, each one carries enough firepower to level a continent. Their technology appears to be at least a century ahead of ours. So you're saying we can't fight? The Chinese general said flatly. I'm saying we can't win in a conventional confrontation, Ryan clarified. Their ships have some kind of shielding we can't penetrate with our current weapons. Admiral Porter slammed his fist on the table. So we surrender, become slaves to these aliens? We buy time, Eleanor suggested, speaking up for the first time. All eyes turned to her. We appear to cooperate while we learn about them, find their weaknesses. Dr. Alan Hayes, a physicist who had been hastily brought in from MIT, nodded enthusiastically. Captain Wright is right. Every technology has limitations. Every species has vulnerabilities. We just need to discover theirs. And how many people die while we discover these vulnerabilities? Asked the European Union representative. How many die if we do nothing? Eleanor countered. You saw what they did to Ares Station. Do you think they'll be kind rulers? The room fell silent again. 48 hours is not much time, the president finally said. But it's all we have. I propose we send a delegation to meet with them, stall for time while we prepare our options. I volunteer, Eleanor said immediately. Several voices rose in protest, but she continued. I've studied first contact protocols my entire career. This may not be the peaceful scenario we hoped for, but the principles still apply. The president considered her for a long moment, then nodded. Assemble a small team, scientists, linguists, military representation. Your mission is to buy us time and gather intelligence, nothing more. As the meeting continued around her, Eleanor's mind raced. The aliens had shown what they could do, obliterated a Mars outpost without hesitation. They expected surrender. They expected Earth to bow down like every other world they'd conquered. They clearly had no idea what humans were like when backed into a corner. In the observatory that evening, Eleanor watched the alien ships glowing in orbit. She thought about human history. How often the smaller force had defeated a seemingly unbeatable enemy through determination, creativity, and sheer stubbornness. They think they know what they're doing, she whispered to herself. They think, this is just another conquest. Her comm unit buzzed with a message from Porter. Team assembled. Briefing at 600. Eleanor took one last look at the alien ships. You picked the wrong planet to mess with. The Krathen were about to learn a lesson that no other species had ever needed to teach them. Humans didn't surrender their home, and, when pushed to their limits, they became something terrifying even to beings from the stars. The countdown to humanity's greatest fight had begun. 6 months had passed since the Krathen arrived. Earth was now a planet at war. The aliens controlled nearly a third of the planet's surface, but their victory was far from complete. Commander Keith Daniels stood on a ridge overlooking the vast Sahara Desert. Through his binoculars, he could see the massive Krathen base that had been their first major foothold on Earth. What had started as a small landing zone was now a sprawling compound of alien structures. Status report, he said, to the woman beside him. Major Olivia Reeves nodded, checking her tablet. All teams in position. Dr. Hayes' devices are ready. Captain Wright's distraction is set to begin in 10 minutes. Keith nodded. Operation Thunderstrike was humanity's first major coordinated attack against the Krathen. After months of gathering, intelligence and developing new weapons, they were finally ready to strike back. Any word from Lieutenant Collin? He asked. Her team is in place inside the base. They've been working undercover for 3 weeks, mapping security systems and placing disruptors. Keith looked at his watch. It's time. Signal all teams to prepare. High above Earth, Captain Eleanor Wright piloted a small fleet of retrofitted vessels, human shuttles enhanced with technology reverse-engineered from the captured scout ship. Her mission was simple but dangerous. Draw the Krathen orbital defenses away from the Sahara base. All ships report ready, her communications officer said. Eleanor nodded. Begin jamming protocols. Launch countermeasures. Her ships released hundreds of small devices that mimicked the signature of attack vessels. On Krathin scanners, it would appear as if Earth was launching a massive space assault. The alien response was immediate. Defense platforms turned their attention skyward. Patrol ships moved to intercept. They took the bait, Eleanor said, watching the Krathin ships change course. Now the real work begins. Back in the desert, Keith gave the signal. Operation Thunderstrike is go. The first phase of the attack was unlike anything the Krathin had experienced before. Instead of a frontal assault with conventional weapons, human forces triggered a massive sandstorm. Special devices developed by Dr. Hayes amplified the natural weather patterns, creating a swirling vortex that engulfed the alien base. The Krathin environmental systems were designed for standard atmosphere control. They had never needed to account for the extreme conditions of an Earth desert. Their sensors became confused, their patrol ships grounded. Phase 2, Keith ordered. Throughout the sandstorm, small teams of soldiers moved forward. Each carried a quantum disruptor, a device designed to exploit the weakness found in Krathin shield technology. As they approached the base perimeter, the alien defense shields flickered and failed. Inside the base, Sam Collins and her infiltration team activated their hidden devices. The base's internal communications went dark. Backup power systems failed to engage. The Krathin are in disarray, Olivia reported, monitoring the signals. They've never dealt with an environment actively working against them before. Keith nodded. The aliens had conquered worlds across the galaxy, but they had developed a standardized approach that worked against conventional resistance. Earth was anything but conventional. Phase 3. All teams advance. Human forces moved through the storm, wearing specialized gear developed for desert warfare. Unlike the Krathin, who relied on technology to protect them from the environment, humans had adapted to Earth's harshest conditions for thousands of years. The fighting was intense but one-sided. Krathin soldiers, cut off from their command structure and blinded by the storm, fell back in confusion. Their rigid battle formations broke down when faced with the chaotic human assault coming from all directions at once. 3 hours later, Keith stood in the captured command center of the Krathin base. The surviving aliens had been forced to retreat, abandoning what had been their primary foothold on Earth. Casualty report, he asked. Minimal, Olivia replied, sounding surprised herself. We lost 7 soldiers, 32 wounded. The Krathin lost at least 300, with another 400 captured. Sam Collins joined them, her uniform covered in sand but a smile on her face. Their command protocols are even more rigid than we thought. Once we disrupted their central control, the individual soldiers had almost no initiative. Keith nodded. They've never needed it before. They've always been the overwhelming force. A communication officer rushed in. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Captain Wright. Eleanor's face appeared on the main screen. She looked exhausted but triumphant. The space operation was a success. We lost 2 ships, but we've proven their orbital defenses can be overwhelmed with the right tactics. Excellent work, Captain, Keith replied. The ground assault succeeded beyond expectations. This base is now under human control. Eleanor's expression grew serious. There's more. During the confusion, we managed to penetrate their communications network. We've intercepted transmissions from their high command. The Krathin are concerned. Concerned? Sam asked with a small smile. Apparently we're not behaving like any species they've conquered before. Their standard protocols aren't working. Some of their commanders are suggesting that Earth might not be worth the resources required to subdue it. A cheer went up from the humans in the command center. Keith raised a hand for quiet. What about their supreme war leader, Zextar? He asked. Eleanor's expression darkened. He's doubling down, ordering more ships to Earth, demanding complete subjugation. Of course he is, Keith said. His pride won't let him consider retreat. Dr. Alan Hayes entered the command center, his eyes bright with excitement. Commander, you need to see this. He connected his tablet to the main display. We've been analyzing the Krathen technology captured today. Their quantum shielding has a fundamental flaw when exposed to certain frequencies we can generate. Based on these findings, we could potentially develop a global network of disruptors. Could you disable all their technology at once? Sam asked. Hayes nodded slowly. Theoretically, yes, it would require time and resources, but it would change everything, Keith finished. Captain Wright, relay this information to Admiral Porter immediately. Tell him Operation Thunderstrike was just the beginning. As the others left to attend to their duties, Keith stood alone at the window, looking out at the captured alien base. For the first time since the invasion began, he felt real hope. The Krathen had arrived expecting easy conquest. Instead, they found a species that grew more determined with each setback, more innovative with each challenge. Humans didn't respond to domination the way other species had. Being backed into a corner only made them more dangerous. On his command ship, Supreme War Leader Zextar received the reports of the defeat in the Sahara. His officers stood nervously as his anger grew. Impossible, he growled. They are merely delaying the inevitable. His second-in-command hesitated before speaking. Supreme War Leader, this marks the 7th consecutive defeat using our standard conquest protocols. These humans adapt too quickly. Perhaps we should consider alternative approaches. Zextar turned, his black eyes toward the officer. The Krathen do not alter our methods for primitive species. We have conquered 1,000 worlds this way. Earth will be no different. But sir, our losses— Deploy the third wave, Zextar interrupted, and prepare the planet-killer weapons. The officer's breathing tubes fluttered in alarm. Sir, that violates our own protocols about preserving conquest worlds for their resources. These humans must be taught the price of defiance, Zextar said coldly. If we cannot have Earth, no one will. What Zextar failed to understand was that his threat would only unify humanity further. The Krathen had never faced a species that, when pushed to the edge of extinction, didn't surrender but instead pushed back harder. The real war for Earth was just beginning. The news of the Sahara victory spread quickly across the world. For the first time since the invasion began, humans gathered in the streets to celebrate. But the war was far from over. In a hidden laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Alan Hayes worked day and night alongside engineer Olivia Reeves. They had spent weeks developing what they called Project Achilles, a global network of quantum disruptors designed to target the fundamental weakness in Krathen technology. The theory is sound, Olivia said, checking the simulations on her screen. But we need to test it on a larger scale. Alan nodded, rubbing his tired eyes. The Krathen are already adapting their shields. We've noticed changes in the frequency patterns from their newer ships. That's what makes this so urgent, Admiral Porter said as he entered the lab. The older man looked exhausted but determined. Intelligence reports that Zextar has ordered the deployment of their planet-killer weapon. They're moving it into position over the Atlantic. The room fell silent. They had learned about the planet-killer from captured Krathen data. It was a weapon of last resort, capable of rendering large portions of a planet uninhabitable. How long do we have? Alan asked. 24 hours, maybe less, Porter replied. Captain Wright is preparing a space mission to try to stop it, but the odds aren't good, Olivia finished. Porter nodded grimly. We need Project Achilles. Operational. It might be our last chance. On the other side of the world, Lieutenant Samantha Collins received her new orders. She stood on the deck of a submarine beneath the Atlantic Ocean, looking at the schematics of the Krathen planet killer. This is the craziest mission yet, Sergeant Linda Boyd said beside her. Sam nodded. They're positioning their weapon directly above us. The plan is to launch our vessel up through the water when they lower their shields to fire. And then what? Linda asked. We board the weapon platform and sabotage it from the inside, Frank Wells whistled. They'll never expect an attack from below. The Krathen don't even have oceans on their homeworld. The small strike team, the same 6 who had captured the first scout ship, prepared their equipment. They had become Earth's most successful special operations unit, completing a dozen seemingly impossible missions against the aliens. One question, Joe Miller said. no longer the nervous rookie he had been 6 months ago. "How do we get back?" Sam smiled. "That's the fun part. We probably don't." In orbit above Earth, Captain Eleanor Wright prepared her makeshift fleet. What had started as a few retrofitted shuttles had grown into a respectable force. Captured Krathen, vessels flew alongside human ships enhanced with alien technology. "The planet killer is moving into firing position," her sensor officer reported. 6 Krathen capital ships are escorting it. Eleanor studied the tactical display. Her fleet was outnumbered and outgunned. A direct assault would be suicide. "We're not going to attack the planet killer directly," she announced to her officers. "We're going to create a diversion to keep their escort ships busy while Collins' team does the real work." The officers exchanged glances. They had learned to trust Wright's unconventional tactics. "Sir," the communications officer called out. "Message from Admiral Porter. Project Achilles is at 70% completion. They need 3 more hours." Eleanor nodded. "Then we'll give them 3 hours, prepare for battle." Back in the lab, Alan and Olivia worked frantically to complete the global network. Dozens of quantum disruptors had been secretly positioned around the world, each one tuned to the specific frequency that would interfere with Krathen technology. "If this works," Alan said, "we'll temporarily disable most of their technology. Their ships, weapons, communications, all of it should go offline for at least a few minutes." "A few minutes might be all we need," Porter replied. In the Atlantic, the submarine carrying Sam's team moved silently into position beneath the alien weapon. Through the periscope, they could see the massive planet killer hovering just above the water, its main cannon beginning to glow with energy. "They're preparing to fire," Sam announced. "Get ready." The team strapped themselves in. This would be a violent ride. "Launch now," Sam ordered. The submarine's special rockets fired, propelling the vessel straight up through the water like a massive bullet. As they broke the surface, Sam could see the planet killer's shields were down as it gathered energy for its first devastating shot. The submarine crashed through the outer hull of the alien weapon, its reinforced nose cone designed for exactly this purpose. Metal screamed against metal as the human vessel forced its way into the Krathen structure. "Move! Move! Move!" Sam shouted as the submarine's hatch opened. Her team poured out, immediately engaging the surprised Krathen crew. The aliens had never expected an attack from below, never mind one that breached their hull. "Linda, Paul, find the main control room," Sam ordered. "Joe, Diane, with me to the power core. Frank, secure our exit route." They fought their way through the alien vessel, using their knowledge of Krathen's ship design to navigate quickly. The aliens responded with increasing desperation, but they were unprepared for the human assault team that seemed to know exactly where to go and what to target. In orbit, Eleanor's fleet engaged the Krathen escort ships. Her vessels darted between the larger alien ships using Earth's atmosphere as cover, appearing and disappearing in lightning strikes. "We've confirmed Collins' team has breached the planet killer," her tactical officer reported. Eleanor nodded. "Keep those escort ships busy. Give them time." Inside the planet killer, Sam's team reached the massive power core. It pulsed with blue energy, feeding the weapon's main cannon. "We need to overload it," Sam said. "Plant the charges here, here, and here." As they worked, Joe's voice came over the comm. "We've got company, lots of company." Through the viewport, Sam could see dozens of Krathen soldiers converging on their position. "Work faster," she ordered. At the Rocky Mountain lab, Alan looked up from his console. "The network is ready," he announced. "All disruptors are online." Porter didn't hesitate. "Activate it." Around the world, quantum disruptors powered up, sending their specialized frequencies into the atmosphere. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, across the globe, Krathen technology began to fail. Shields flickered and died. Weapons powered down. Communications went silent. In orbit, Eleanor watched in amazement as the Krathen ships suddenly drifted, their engines and weapons offline. "It worked," she whispered, then louder to her crew. "All ships, attack now." Inside the planet killer, Sam felt the change immediately. The lights dimmed as backup power kicked in. The Krithin soldiers approaching them suddenly seemed confused, their linked battle systems no longer functioning. "Now's our chance," she told her team. "Finish planting those charges and let's go." They worked quickly, setting the explosives around the core. Linda's voice came over the comm. "We've locked down the control room. The weapon is disabled." "Excellent," Sam replied. "Meet us at the extraction point. We have 2 minutes before these charges blow." The team fought their way back through the confused Krathin forces. Without their linked combat systems, the aliens were far less effective. The humans reached their damaged submarine, now serving as an escape vessel. "Everyone in," Sam ordered. As the last of her team arrived, Frank looked at the submarine's damaged hull. "This thing won't fly." Sam grinned. "No, but that will." She pointed to a Krathin shuttle docked nearby. "Linda, can you fly it?" "Already downloaded the controls," Linda replied with a smile. As they raced for the shuttle, the first explosions began to rock the planet killer. The charges around the power core had ignited a chain reaction. The team barely made it to the shuttle and launched as the planet killer began to break apart. Behind them, the massive weapon that had threatened Earth exploded in a spectacular blue fireball. 3 Krathin capital ships nearby were caught in the explosion. The others, still affected by the quantum disruptors, could only watch helplessly. In the Rocky Mountain lab, Porter received the news. "The planet killer has been destroyed," he announced. "Colin's team made it out." Alan and Olivia hugged each other in relief and exhaustion. "What about the Krathin fleet?" Alan asked. Porter smiled for the first time in weeks. "Captain Wright reports they're in full retreat. The quantum disruptors affected even their mothership. For the first time, Zextar has ordered his forces to fall back." Across Earth, people watched as the Krathin ships withdrew from orbit. The quantum disruptors had given humanity its first major victory of the war. On his mothership, Zextar raged at his officers. "Return to battle positions immediately." His second-in-command stepped forward cautiously. "Supreme War Leader, we have lost 3 capital ships and our planet killer. The humans have developed technology that can neutralize our systems. Perhaps we should—" "We do not retreat," Zextar roared. "No species defies the Krathin and survives. Prepare all remaining weapons. We will destroy their major population centers as an example." The officer hesitated. "Sir, the Dominion protocols clearly state that—" "I am the Dominion here," Zextar interrupted. "These humans must be eradicated. They represent a threat to Krathin supremacy everywhere." As his officers reluctantly carried out his orders, Zextar didn't realize he had just made the fatal mistake of his long career. The destruction of the planet killer bought Earth valuable time, but everyone knew the war was far from over. The quantum disruptor network had been a powerful weapon, but the Krathin were already adapting their technology to resist it. In what later became known as the Week of Fire, the Krathin launched attacks on major cities around the world. London, Beijing, Cairo, Sydney, all were targeted by orbital strikes. Millions fled as the aliens showed their willingness to destroy civilian targets. Admiral Porter gathered Earth's military leaders in the underground command center beneath Denver. Captain Eleanor Wright, Lieutenant Samantha Collins, and Commander Keith Daniels were all present via secure video links. "Zextar has gone beyond the Krathin's own protocols," Porter explained. "Intelligence from captured officers suggests many in their fleet are uncomfortable with targeting civilians. It violates their conquest doctrine." "Can we use that?" Eleanor asked. Her fleet, now hidden in Earth's orbit using stealth technology, was preparing for a desperate counterattack. "Perhaps," Porter said. "But first, we need to deal with their doomsday weapon." The screen showed images of a massive ship moving into Earth orbit. Larger than any Krathin vessel they had seen before, it carried a weapon capable of rendering the entire planet uninhabitable. "This is their final solution," Porter continued. "When all else fails, they sterilize the planet. They've done it twice before to species that resisted too effectively." The room fell silent. After all their victories, after all their sacrifices, humanity still faced extinction. Dr. Alan Hayes finally spoke up. The quantum disruptors won't work on this ship. They've already adapted their shields. Then what options do we have? Keith asked. Hayes exchanged a look with Olivia Reeves. We've been studying the Krethin neural implants taken from captured officers. Their military functions as a kind of hive mind, with direct neural connections to their commanders. And Zextar sits at the top of that hierarchy, Sam added. Exactly, Hayes continued. We believe we can design a targeted quantum pulse that would specifically affect those neural implants. It wouldn't harm them physically, but it would temporarily disconnect their hive mind. Cutting them off from their command structure, Eleanor said thoughtfully, leaving each ship to make its own decisions. Porter nodded. How long to prepare this pulse? 12 hours, Olivia replied. But we'd need to get close to their command ship to deploy it effectively. Eleanor straightened her uniform. My fleet will create that opening. And my team will deliver the device. Sam added without hesitation. Porter looked at each of them. These people had become humanity's greatest heroes, pulling off one impossible mission after another. This will be the most dangerous operation yet. The fate of our entire species depends on it. No pressure, Sam said with a grim smile. For the next 12 hours, people around the world prepared for what might be humanity's last stand. Those in targeted cities evacuated. Military forces positioned themselves for coordinated counterattacks. And in laboratories across the globe, scientists worked frantically to complete the neural disruptor. On the Krathin mothership, Supreme War Leader Zextar watched Earth with cold satisfaction. Soon, he would end this troublesome species once and for all. Supreme War Leader, his second-in-command approached cautiously. The doomsday weapon is charged and ready. However, I must formally object to its use. The Dominion protocols clearly state that habitable worlds should be preserved whenever— Your objection is noted, Zextar interrupted. And ignored. Prepare to fire in 1 hour. The officer hesitated. Sir, there are concerns among the fleet commanders. Many feel that destroying Earth violates the very purpose of our expansion. Zextar turned slowly, his black eyes showing no emotion. Are you suggesting mutiny? No, Supreme War Leader. Merely reporting the concerns of anyone who questions my orders will be executed for treason, Zextar said coldly. Is that understood? The officer bowed and backed away. As he left the command bridge, he made a decision that would change the course of Krathin history. An hour later, Eleanor's fleet burst from hiding, using Earth's magnetic field to mask their approach. Her ships appeared suddenly and attacked the Krathin mothership from multiple directions. Focus fire on their outer defenses, she ordered. We just need to create an opening for Collins. Team. The battle in Earth orbit was like nothing humans had ever experienced. Krathin capital ships exchanged fire with the smaller, more agile human vessels. Energy weapons lit up the darkness of space as the fate of a world hung in the balance. Sam's team approached in a captured Krathin shuttle. Using enemy recognition codes provided by an unnamed source within the alien fleet, they managed to slip through the chaos of battle toward the mothership. We're receiving updated schematics of the mothership, Linda said, surprised. Someone inside is helping us. Sam nodded. The Krathin aren't as united as Zextar thinks. Remember, they've never fought a war like this before. Their shuttle docked successfully at a secondary hangar. The team moved quickly through the massive ship, following the provided schematics toward the central command node where they could deploy the neural disruptor. Meanwhile, in the main battle, Eleanor's flagship took a direct hit. Systems failed across the ship as fires broke out on multiple decks. Engines at 20%, her tactical officer reported. Weapons at 15. Eleanor helped a wounded crew member back to their station. Keep fighting. We just need to hold them off a little longer. On the mothership, Sam's team reached the central command node. Surprisingly, they met little resistance. Many sections of the ship seemed understaffed, as if internal conflict had disrupted normal operations. Plant the device here, Sam ordered as they reached the central computer core. The neural disruptor, not much larger than a briefcase, was positioned at the heart of the ship's neural network. Armed and ready, Paul confirmed. 10 minutes until activation. Now we need to get to Zextar, Sam said, checking her weapon. On the command bridge, Zextar received reports of intruders. Find them and kill them, he ordered, and prepare the doomsday weapon for immediate firing. His second-in-command stepped forward. Sir, we've detected a device in the central core. Unknown purpose, but it appears to be... Destroy it. Zextar snapped. We've tried, sir. It's protected by a field we cannot penetrate. Zextar's breathing tubes fluttered in anger. Human deception. Their primitive technology should not be able to... The bridge doors opened. Sam Collins and her team entered, weapons raised. Supreme War Leader Zextar, Sam called out. Stand down your forces and end this war. Zextar looked at the human intruders with contempt. You dare to come here and make demands? Your species will be erased from existence in minutes. No, Sam replied calmly. We've planted a neural disruptor in your central core. When it activates, every Krathin neural implant will disconnect from your command network. Your hive mind will collapse. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Zextar's alien features. Impossible. You've been saying that about humans since you arrived, Sam said. How many impossible defeats will it take before you understand? Earth is not yours to take. Before Zextar could respond, the neural disruptor activated. Across the mothership, across the entire Krathin fleet, officers and soldiers suddenly clutched their heads as their neural links went dark. For the first time in their lives, they were cut off from the hive mind that had always guided them. On the bridge, Zextar staggered. What have you done? He gasped. Given your people a choice, Sam answered. End this war, or we'll show you what humanity is truly capable of when pushed to the edge. The second-in-command stepped forward, no longer controlled by Zextar's direct, neural influence. Supreme War Leader, I am relieving you of command under Emergency Protocol 7. Other officers moved to support him. Without the neural control network, they were free to act on their own judgment, and many had grown to question Zextar's increasingly irrational orders. Traitors, Zextar shouted. I will have you all executed. The war is over, the second-in-command said firmly. Then to Sam, Human, we wish to discuss terms. Sam activated her comm. Admiral Porter, Captain Wright, the Krathin leadership is requesting ceasefire negotiations. Across Earth, people watched as the alien ships powered down their weapons. After months of brutal war, an uneasy silence fell across the battlefield. 3 months later, a formal peace treaty was signed between Earth and the Krathin Dominion. The document acknowledged humanity as equals and established boundaries for both civilizations. The galaxy watched in shock as the mighty Krathin, who had conquered 1,000 worlds, signed their first-ever peace treaty instead of accepting a surrender. Captain Eleanor Wright represented Earth at the signing ceremony aboard a neutral station at the edge of the solar system. The new Krathin leadership, more pragmatic than their predecessor, recognized the futility of continuing the war. Your species is unlike any we have encountered, the Krathin ambassador admitted. We did not understand what we were facing. Eleanor nodded. Humans have a saying, don't mess around and find out. It means don't start something if you're not prepared for the consequences. A wise philosophy, the ambassador replied. One we have learned at great cost. The final clause of the treaty became famous throughout the galaxy,